The Eagles just got some surprising developments before taking on the Buccaneers, as not only did Philly seemingly leak their plans to be much more aggressive on offense, but they also got some huge injury updates, and it's pretty much all great news for the Birds, besides maybe one exception. While for the Bucs, there is a little bit of concern for their most important player. Plus, hear why the Eagles are more prepared than ever to handle the Bucs blitz and the Florida Heat, and why could it be a big day for Jalyx Hunt and the Birds defensive line? Well, let's talk about that and everything else leading into the Eagles and Bucs matchup starting right now. Alright, so the Eagles vs Buccaneers Week 4 NFL matchup is just a couple days away, and as far as early season games go, this is a pretty big one, as the Eagles and Bucs are both considered to be two of the NFC's top teams. Both teams have started the season 3-0, and both have Super Bowl aspirations and could see each other down the road in the playoffs. So, similar to the Rams game last week, it may be early in the season, but this matchup very well could end up determining playoff seeding and could be the difference between a potential home or away playoff game. So, again, this is a very important early season matchup and a huge test for both squads. And also, with the Eagles' recent struggles down in Tampa, if these teams were to see each other in the playoffs, I think it'd obviously be much more beneficial for the Eagles if the game was in Philly. So leave a like down below for good luck. I really cannot express to you guys how much that helps me out. So go do that right now. Let's see if we can get to at least 700 likes on this video. Now, that said, obviously, one reason that the Eagles have struggled in Tampa in recent years is because they tend to play them early in the season. Therefore, the Florida Heat is intense, and as Jason Kelce put it this week, it's not very fun to play in, and it definitely presents a very real challenge.
As a player, I always would downplay it, but now that I'm not a player, I'll be brutally honest. Playing the Heat sucks. I would much rather play in the dead of cold, snow, 20 degrees. And we played down in Tampa, actually, a game right after the season, right after the Super Bowl with Doug, and I think Todd Bowles was just been hired down there maybe. But either way, we go out for warm-ups, and they actually sent us in halfway through warm-ups because everybody was dying and sweating too much out there. Like, yeah, we're warming up. Everybody just go back inside. So it's real. Both teams have to do it, but obviously they're a lot more acclimatized to it. No question that playing in the heat in Florida that early is tough, especially for the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that the heat is going to play a factor for the Eagles in this game. You know, obviously last year, there were a lot of reasons for the Eagles' horrible Week 4 loss down in Tampa, but the heat certainly didn't help. And multiple guys actually exited that game due to issues that came about because of the heat. So this year, they're going to want to be more prepared for that. That's why they're leaving to fly down there a day early, that being today on Friday. And in addition to that, it seems like they've done other things to help prepare for the heat as well.
You know, definitely the heat is a factor that you have to account for. I don't care what team you play for. I don't care who you are. I'm sure even Tampa Bay has to account for the heat sometimes. But, you know, that's why we go in there. I'm sure in the bathroom there's probably 15 guys sitting in the sauna. So little stuff like that, just getting acclimated with the heat, hydrating. Eating right, fueling right, that's the most important thing. So going into this week, it's just more so just preparation and then also the X's and O's and everything.
Do you remember a game where the Heat was...
Tampa Bay last year? Yeah. Tampa Bay last year? Besides that game, not really, honestly. But I think we as players, the coaches learned a lot, and they're preparing us a lot better, and we're preparing ourselves a lot better for this Heat.
Do you think there's something to getting down there a little bit early?
I think so. For sure.
Again, it's definitely a challenge, but hopefully the Eagles are as prepared as possible for the Heat going into this game, and it plays as small a role as possible. But in addition to the Heat, another much bigger reason for the Eagles' struggles down in Tampa recently has been their inability to handle the Bucs blitz, as Todd Bowles is just a genius when it comes to getting pressure on the quarterback in creative ways, and he's had a lot of success versus Jalen Hurts and the Eagles specifically over the years. So obviously, the Birds are going to be hoping it's a little bit of a different story this time around, and as much as they know that it's going to be a huge challenge, Jordan Mailata says they have a plan that they think is going to work.
I do know if we don't give time to our QB, it's always bad news, Barrett. So I think for us up front, again, we know who we have this week in Todd Bowles and how much of a evil genius he is. I think for us, again, it's all about identifying what we're seeing up front, how we, the plan that we have, how we can go out there and effectively communicate that. So he'll bring everything. He's not scared to bring the house. He's just not. He's not afraid to show it and then bring it, show it, not bring it, and then bring two other different guys as well as the fall down.
Counteract that. Every time he seems to have something
for you?
Well, like I said, the plan. Hopefully this plan that we have, we can go out there and execute. Just like any other plan that we've had in the past few weeks, I'm really hoping that we can execute this week.
I said this yesterday, but Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have already been blitzed at the 5th highest rate in the entire league going into this game, so I feel like they're more prepared to handle it than ever, and I think the past 2 weeks, they've done a semi-decent job at handling it, especially in that second half last week. So, I think it's just going to be about building on that this week, giving Jalen Hurts some quick answers with some short passes, preferably some going across the middle of the field, and also just about being on the same page, identifying the blitz the best they can, and communicating. I mean, I have no doubt that the Eagles can handle the blitz. It's just going to be about whether the game plan is good enough and can they execute. So again, hopefully whatever the plan is that Mailata is talking about, it works. And overall for the offense, I think this is going to be a huge game and possibly a turning point for them. I mean, last week they obviously had a major breakthrough in that second half when they finally opened up the playbook and cut Jalen Hurts and the pass offense loose a little bit. And while it wasn't perfect and there were still definitely issues, especially in the run game, it gave us a glimpse of just how good this offense can be, not even at its full potential. So, as I've been saying all week, they need to build on that and avoid reverting back to what they were doing beforehand. And the good news is, it sounds like the plan is to build off what they did in that second half and to just be the aggressor and come out swinging.
The second half, that offense, obviously much better than the first. How are you carrying that over this week?
Just making sure that we can, once we're able to effectively communicate, lock in to our detail and execute, you see we were a whole different team. So carrying those same adjustments that we made and just starting off the week like that.
Has the messaging been about being the aggressor and not letting the opponent dictate the terms, but getting after?
I would say that, yeah.
So where's that coming from?
Where's that coming from?
Yeah.
If you're asking that, you don't know. I'm not going to be the one to leak it.
A lot of guys have been talking about the attack mindset this week. Where's that coming from? Who's setting the stage with that messaging?
I think KP. I don't think KP. I know KP. That's kind of like the theme. I think you saw that more of the second half of the Rams. Sometimes you can get caught up in what teams are going to try to do to stop us, and not so much of you have a hard time stopping us. So that's kind of the mindset that we got to continue to have.
You have to be the aggressor. When you sit back and try to basically play off what a defense is doing, is tough. You have to go out there. You have to be the aggressor. You have to make the defense adapt to you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love the sound of that, as it seems like the Eagles are placing an extra emphasis on attacking and being the aggressor in this one. And with all the talent that they have, that is exactly what they need to do. And this is a Buccaneers defense that you can throw the football against. So hopefully we see them put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands again, let him make plays, and let him get the ball into the hands of the Birds' receiving weapons on the outside like he did in that second half against the Rams. And hopefully that also finally opens things up for the run game after teams have continued to stack the box and guard against it to start the season. Oh, and also, by the way, in case you forgot, both A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith were out for the game against the Bucs last year, and A.J. also missed the playoff game against them a couple years ago. So having them available for this one definitely makes a huge difference. And I'll say it right now, look out for A.J. Brown to have another big game. I mean, he came alive last week against the Rams. He's clearly hungry and wants the ball. And the last time the Eagles beat the Bucs down in Tampa also happens to be the only one of these matchups that A.J. actually played in. And he had 9 catches for 131 yards in that game. So again, I'm expecting a big game from him, and I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. Give me your predictions for how many catches and yards AJ has in this game down in the comments below. And overall, I'm expecting and really just hoping for another good performance from the Eagles offense and specifically the passing game. Again, we saw what they were capable of last week, so I think they build on that, and Jalen Hurts finally has a masterful performance against this Bucs defense. And if you're one of those people out there that's still finding ways to hate on Jalen Hurts, just listen to what the Eagles' biggest hater in Rams edge rusher Jared Verse had to say about him.
Jalen, he's a good quarterback. If you don't respect his throwing ability, I know a lot of people go like, oh, he can't throw, he's only a runner. Like, nah, he can throw. Like, that's he's a quarterback in the National Football League for a reason. Like, I don't know why people would be saying that. So, that's just on us. We lost that game ourselves, like I said.
As much as we joke about Verse and the beef is fun, he's honestly a real one, because this isn't the first time that he's shown love and respect towards the Eagles. So, gotta give credit where credit is due. Shout out to Jared Verse, And if you haven't already, again, drop a like for him shutting Hurts haters down. Moving over to the other side of the ball though, this matchup also presents a tough challenge for this Eagles defense, as despite dealing with some key injuries, namely the one to Mike Evans, which no doubt makes things a lot easier on Philly's defense, the Bucs still got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and that obviously starts at the quarterback position with Baker Mayfield, as he's a guy that can make pretty much every throw and also presents a challenge as a runner as well. And he's had a lot of success versus the Eagles before, including last season where he put up nearly 350 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. So the Birds are definitely going to want to do a better job this time. And luckily, as opposed to last year, the pass defense has actually been pretty good in the early portion of this season, as they allow just around 185 pass yards a game, which ranks 11th in the league. And again, the Bucs not having Mike Evans for this one definitely makes things much easier. So personally, I'm confident the Eagles can have success stopping the Bucs passing game, which currently ranks 22nd in the league. And actually, a big advantage that the Eagles could potentially have in this game is the pass rush, and specifically the defensive line against this Bucs O-line, as Tampa's unit is banged up, and even though the Eagles just lost Nolan Smith, they got some other playmakers out on the edge that could expose the Bucs' weakness at right tackle with Charlie Heck, who has already allowed 10 pressures this season. As like I talked about yesterday, I expect Za'Darius Smith to get a lot more snaps now, and he should be able to have success in that matchup. Josh Uche also has shown a ton of flashes to start this season and could have success there as well. And then even though he plays a lot on the other side of the line, you also have Jalyx Hunt, who seems hungrier than ever to make an impact. As following a somewhat disappointing start to the season, Hunt is motivated to turn things around. As fellow edge rusher Patrick Johnson just said this about him, quote, "He's not happy with how he's been playing. He told me, man, I want to get more sacks. I want to get more pressures. I want to be able to make more tackles. Earlier this morning, he's like, man, while I was sleeping, I was thinking about getting a sack this week." So personally, that just gets me so fired up to watch Hunt this week. I mean, a lot of you guys know that I had him as my top breakout candidate for the Eagles this season, and I still think an explosion is coming. So hopefully he's able to get his first of many sacks in this game. That said, the Eagles' biggest breakout player so far this season has easily been Jordan Davis, and he, along with fellow defensive tackles Jalen Carter and Moro Jobo, definitely have an advantage going into this matchup, again, against a banged-up Bucs O-line that isn't very good. So, look for them to have success, and also, hopefully they're able to stop the run as well. I mean, so far this season, the Bucs have actually been a solid running team, while the Birds' run defense has been pretty up and down. I mean, we know the Eagles are capable of stopping the run. It's just going to be about whether they actually execute or not. So hopefully they can do that. And they also continue to just get stops down in the red zone as they've done all season as well. And overall, I do have confidence that the Eagles defense can slow down the Bucs offense in this matchup. And obviously, a big part of that is going to depend on what the injury situation looks like for the Bucs offense and who suits up in this game. As of course, they're already down Mike Evans, and now, as of Friday, Tampa Bay has listed 3 more crucial offensive players as questionable going into this game. Those being Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, who are both looking to make their season debuts, and also quarterback Baker Mayfield, as he has been limited all week with a right bicep injury. And honestly, I expected Godwin and Wirfs to be questionable, but the fact that Baker is listed as questionable is a little shocking to me. That said, there's still no doubt in my mind that he's going to play in this game, and I think ultimately all 3 of these guys will probably end up playing. But again, the fact that Mayfield is even questionable to begin with, I think is very notable and makes me wonder if that bicep injury could impact him during this game. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that goes and who ends up playing in this game in general. And then switching over to the other side of things, the Eagles got great news with their final injury report, as nearly everybody was cleared to play in this game, including guys like Zack Baun, Jihaad Campbell, Lane Johnson, Will Shipley, and Tanner McKee, all of which were dealing with injuries throughout the week, some of which spanned longer than that. And the only negative news they got is that Adoree Jackson is doubtful for this game, meaning that Kelee Ringo will likely get the start. So immediately, his matchups with potentially Chris Godwin and also Emeka Egbuka become key matchups to watch in this game. But overall, definitely very good news on the injury front for the Eagles on Friday. And on top of that, we finally have an update on what exactly happened to cornerback Jacorian Bennett, who of course is now on IR, as he told reporters that he suffered a pec injury back in week 1, and he re-aggravated it on the last drive versus the Rams, which is why he's now on IR. So, don't know when he's going to be back, but certainly good to know what actually happened, and definitely praying for a speedy recovery. But regardless of all that information, I honestly just feel good going into this game. I mean, as much as I do think it's a really, really tough challenge, and the Bucs do tend to have the Eagles number, I got a different feeling about this game. And also, let's just be real, I'm always going to pick my Eagles to win, especially when they're this good. So I got them going down to Florida and getting a win by a final score of 31-24. And that said, you guys can give me your score predictions down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications. That way you don't miss any other Eagles coverage coming throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, after the Eagles and Bucs game, I'm going to have a video breaking it all down. And then next week, I'm going to have all sorts of coverage on the Eagles versus Broncos game coming up next Sunday. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that coverage, subscribe and you turn on notifications. And also, drop a like down below to show some support because it really does help me out so much, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 700 likes today. And also, hit the hype button. That helps me out as well. And if you do want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that is pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.